One of the big roles in both real-world life and in Star Citizen is cargo hauling.
We've got lots of different ships in the game, and plenty of them can carry cargo, but we don't have many that are small and dedicated to cargo.
And this is where the Argo Raft really comes into play. So the Reinforced Advanced Freight Transport from Argo is a 2-player cargo transport ship.
It's a very beginner sort of vessel. It's got limited cargo capacity, but it's designed purely for the purpose of trying to transport your goods from A to B, while keeping you as safe as possible.
The Argo style is a strong style. You kind of know what you're going to get, and I think that's what helps really sell the ship's feel.
The rear half of the ship is definitely very contrasting to the front. I feel like one of our designers put it best when they described it as essentially an oil rig with engines strapped onto the back of it.
The Raft is primarily Argo's counter to the Freelancer.
Obviously, the Freelancers are far better equipped weapon-wise, but the Argo is far better in the armor capacity. It's not going to do well in a fight because its weaponry is quite small. It has a remote turret that the co-pilot controls that has size 3s on it, and it does have 2 size 1 slots that the pilot can equip something in, although it doesn't come with those weapons as standard. The ship itself can take up to 96 SCU and 3 32 SCU cargo containers that are held on the back of the ship. So at the moment, the cargo containers are actually a fixed part of the ship until we actually get the cargo refactor, at which point you'll then be able to remove them. There are other ships that are going to use external cargo like the Hull series, but the first one that will actually go out into the universe will be the Raft. It has dedicated VTOLs that rotate to give it that extra lift, regardless of what the atmosphere is in the planet you're trying to take off from. It's going to be able to actually get out there even in the more heavy atmospheres. It has independent landing gear, the legs, the typical Argo legs that give it that nice firm support regardless of the terrain that you're landing on. As you go inside the ship, it's split into 2 primary areas, the functional side and the side for the crew. So the functional side consists of the bridge, the airlock, which has got a ship-to-ship docking collar on it, engineering, and then the cargo control cab that's at the rear of the ship that gives you a nice view out onto the 3 cargo containers. The side for the crew consists of habitation, which has a nice chow line, a seating area for you and your teammate to relax, as well as individual beds that double function as an escape pod in times when you might need it, as well as a fully fitted armory for 2 people that has 2 suit locker spaces for each of you, as well as weapon racks, and of course a bathroom.
I think the interior kind of was really successful in making sure that every space has a function. No matter where you're stood in the ship, it feels like a functional ship. It feels like the ship has purpose.
If you think about the real world and how you want to transport goods, if you want to be in and out because that's your job, that's your profession, you don't want to have to open up your ship and let someone come on board and mess about. You just want to drop your actual goods and then move on to your next job, and that's something that the Raft will allow you to do.
The reinforced armored freight transport from Argo is the latest straight-to-flyable vehicle that made its debut at this year's Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. And if you haven't seen it in action already, you can do so now by jumping into the persistent universe. But up next, Another ship making its highly anticipated debut at this year's event, the Ares Starfighter from Crusader Industries.
A lot of times you need a ship for a very specific purpose. Ultimately, sometimes you just need a big ship with a big gun that goes a ship with a big gun that goes I don't think it even sounds like that anymore. The Ares Starfighter is the premier single-seat fighter designed to take on larger threats.
The first time I remember hearing about it was, this is, single-seater, size 7 guns, capital ship killer, and it was like, that's going to be fun. Because it is a single-seater, you really want it to be surrounded by your ship. And when, one of the first things we do is, any ship that kind of kicks off, is make sure we're agreed and happy with our enter-exit animations. We knew that we needed to have ladder access, and we needed to kind of make sure it will work from an animation point of view.
There are two variants of the ship, one with a ballistic gatling called the Inferno, and one with an energy cannon called the Ion. And these really cater to how you want to take down these larger ships. You have the ballistic gatling, which is capable of punching through shields and damaging items under the hull, and then you have the energy variant, which is designed to really attack shields and sort of melt things.
On both versions, you get a different feel, but in your peripheral vision, out the kind of the right hand side of your cockpit, you've just got the massive barrel of the weapon. So there was a little bit of kind of like backwards and forwards, making sure the barrel length felt right, and making sure the animation speed and that sort of stuff all kind of like worked nicely together when you were sitting there as a pilot. Because when you unleash these things, it is a unique experience.
The gun itself is an integral part of the ship and cannot be swapped out, so that gives you that choice between those two variants of, do I want the ballistic one, which has higher DPS or damage per second but limited ammo, or do I go for the Ion with its energy cannon that essentially has infinite ammo but a lower damage per second?
On the energy version of the ship, we've got the additional cooling and all the kind of everything that the larger weapon needs. And then on the ballistic, we've got the additional kind of ammo area and ammo storage area. So it really does require, yes, it's the same underlying chassis, but it really does, it is two separate versions depending on which weapon is your kind of weapon of choice. Visually, I think what the Ares Starfighter brings to the game is the sense of intimidation. There's few other ships that you're really going to be scared of that are much, much smaller than you in our game. And I think the Starfighter, if you see one of those, you kind of need to run.
It's going to be really interesting to see how the dynamic changes of the in-game events such as Xenothreat and Ninetales when players have something of this caliber on their side instead.
So what did we learn about this week? Well, we learned that the Freelancer has a new competitor in the recently introduced Argo Raft. That there's no one way to say when it comes to building a spacecraft around a massive gun like the Ares Starfighter. And that superstar concept artist Gav Rothery sure does know how to create good-looking spaceships. He did it with the Raft, he did it with the Ares, and he's got something special coming up on Mist Day, so be sure to come back next week and check that out. And don't forget, the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo continues. There's a free fly going on, as well as new merchandise in the stores while supplies last. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckaby. We'll see you all next week.